To run the PCR reaction, you should have already put in the protocol PTC PCR. Make sure you select that protocol, and you'll see a triangle to the right that says Run. Go ahead and click on Run. You'll see that it should be loading into the PCR box. And once it's loading, it's going to start running the protocol as you listed it. As the protocol runs, you're going to see the temperature fluctuations that are occurring in the PCR machine show on this graph. After the lid has been heated, it will go through that initial denaturation step, which you put in that was at 94 degrees C for 120 seconds. You should see this little animation show up that's showing that the DNA double helix in the genomic DNA that you extracted from your cheek, the hydrogen bonds are now breaking between the two strands. This is happening at a temperature of 94 degrees C. After the initial denaturation occurs, which will last for 120 seconds or 2 minutes, then the first denaturation will occur for 10 seconds, followed by the annealing step, in which your primers will anneal to the denatured DNA. This occurs for 15 seconds at 58 degrees, and you'll see this little animation in addition to the lowering temperature here, for the annealing step is at a lower temperature. After the annealing step will be the extension. And this happens at 58 degrees, at 72 degrees for 40 seconds. And this is when the Taq DNA polymerase is beginning to copy the DNA that's on that template strand from your cheek. This is following the temperature. This is happening at a higher temperature than the annealing step. And this graphic is showing the copying that's going on. And finally, in this graphic here, it tells you how many copies of the DNA you have produced so far with we're only in the first cycle, from each original copy that was in your cheek DNA that you extracted. We've now done 8 cycles on this of the PCR reaction. And for each one, you can see the denaturation step, which is at 95 degrees. The temperature lowers, and you have the annealing of the primers, which are in excess in your tube, so there'll always be plenty of primers. And then the extension of those primers to synthesize a new strand of DNA. So the number of DNA copies is going up exponentially. So at this point, we have 256 copies. And we'll see where we're going to be at by the end of our 30 cycles. We're now nearing the end of this PCR run. We are at cycle 30. And notice that the DNA copies now exceeds 1 billion copies. Each one of the cycles is shown here with its denaturation step, annealing step, and extension step. Now that the run is finished, you can remove your samples from the PCR box.